We wanted to be the Beatles. We wanted to be four guys that each one of us was like John, Paul, Ringo, and George, and everyone loved each one of us separately, but all together they loved us like immensely. And that was, we thought, wow, what a great idea.
What if one of rock's greatest legends was also one of its most forgotten? Not the loudest, not the fastest, but the one whose silence screamed the truth behind the mask. Peter Criss, the man behind the Catman, the heartbeat of Kiss, and the one who, when the lights faded, was left behind. But his story isn't about being left out. It's about what it takes to come back when the world thinks you're done. This isn't just about drums. It's about survival. Because Peter Criss didn't just help build one of the biggest rock bands in history. He was forced to survive after it left him behind. And somehow, he did. Before the cat makeup, before the arenas. Peter Criss was just George Peter John Criscola, a poor Italian kid from Brooklyn, raised in a world of scraped knees, gang fights, and kitchen table rhythms. He didn't come from music schools. He came from jazz records, street corners, and scars. Buddy Rich, Gene Krupa. The greats weren't just inspiration. They were instruction manuals for escape. "If not for the drums, I might have become a criminal," Peter once said. And he meant it. He hustled for years in no-name bands. Chelsea, Lips, gigs no one remembers. Until 1972, when he placed an ad in Rolling Stone, "Drummer with vocal ability, looking for band to climb to the top." That ad caught the eyes of Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. And from that gritty connection, something explosive was born. Kiss, the band that would set the world on fire, literally. Paint, pyro, platform boots. Kiss wasn't a band. It was a phenomenon. And in the middle of it all was Peter, the Catman. Jazz-trained, soul-battered, unmistakably human. But Peter's real moment came in a whisper, not a scream. While the band blasted fire and fury, Peter sat at a piano and wrote Beth, a love letter, a ballad, a cry in the night. It became Kiss's first Billboard Top 10 hit. And it wasn't Gene, it wasn't Paul, it was Peter who gave Kiss their biggest song, without flames, without theatrics, just vulnerability. But behind the fame was friction. Peter clashed with bandmates. Addiction entered the picture, so did bitterness, accusations, silence. In 1979, after a brutal car crash injured his hand, Peter was quietly replaced. No big announcement, no farewell. His face stayed on the album cover. His drums didn't. It was betrayal, not just of a bandmate, but of a brotherhood. Then it got worse. In 1991, a homeless man impersonated Peter Criss on national television. The world believed it. Peter had to go on the Phil Donahue Show, not to perform, but to prove he still existed. A rock star, reduced to defending his own name. Later, Paul Stanley would accuse him of bigotry. Peter called the allegations offensive. The silence between them grew permanent. And just when you think the story ends, life throws one more test: cancer. Peter was diagnosed with breast cancer, something almost unheard of in men. He quietly underwent a mastectomy. He didn't ask for sympathy, he just kept going. So what keeps a man like Peter Criss going? Not revenge, not nostalgia, resilience. He married Gigi, found peace in simplicity. Still hits the drums, just not for crowds, but for clarity. He lives quietly now in New Jersey. No tours, no makeup, no fire, just memory, rhythm, and the truth he earned. Peter Criss isn't just a co-founder of Kiss. He's the reason Beth exists. He's the man who gave the loudest band in the world its softest moment. And when the band cast him out, he didn't crumble. He wrote a book, fought cancer, refused to vanish. He outlived the legend. So the next time you hear Beth, remember this. Behind that aching voice was a man on the edge of losing everything. And instead of falling, he played one more beat. Peter Criss didn't just drum for a band. He fought to keep his soul alive in a business that eats souls whole. And maybe, just maybe, that's more legendary than any fireball or stage trick could ever be. Do you remember your first Kiss concert? The first time Beth made you cry? Drop your story in the comments. Because for Peter, the music never ends, as long as someone's still listening.